Hey, I was going to share some things about memory. Don't mind the zinc oxide. I got burned a little bit yesterday. So, the ozone's gone. Okay, so my skin's real sensitive to that. Not that I need to justify this to anybody, right? That's part of the programming. I wanted to cover memory, how memory works with artificial intelligence, if you will. Because I may have mentioned in a previous video about a lady that I met who was a professor of. Well, she worked out of health sciences in the bachelor's program at the University of Arkansas. She used to be the lab director for Kraft Foods. Anybody that's been in a supermarket certainly knows who Kraft Foods is. Okay, so this is an example like artificial intelligence. What they do is this isn't where analog consciousness, like the girl on the planet, will produce, for example, the salt that I mentioned, right? That is a volcanic sublimate. Because what happens with that particular salt, the crystal, the angle, remember we talked about angles, geometric angles, the rotation and the spin of the particle, right? The element, like ammonium chloride, that's a volcanic sublimate. When light hits that crystal, the crystalline structure is not the same as ammonium chloride, where somebody is using artificial intelligence and not consciousness to produce it. It's artificial in the sense that it's artificially produced, much in the same way that vocational education works. That's sort of how I got into teaching in the beginning, because I was a good swimmer when I was very young, so I got my first lifeguard savers. It's called lifeguard savers card. So I could teach others how to save people in the water, right? And then you get a first aid card through the scouting programs, and you want to get an instructor's card so you can teach others how to save lives and all the rest of that, right? So what we're doing is we're simulating. Anybody who's a vocational educator, teaches woodshop, teaches computer design, anybody who teaches auto shop, anybody who teaches wood shop, metal shop, fabrication, etc. That's all simulation. That's all basically taking the elements, if you will, from the planet, building tools, coming up with a design, putting together the specifications. You come up with a bill of materials on what you're going to make it out of, and then you use the tools to build it, right? Now you can build it yourself, or you can say, hey, we're going to mass produce this thing. So now you need to hire energy units of energy, right? Batteries of beings that want to work in your place. You offer them a salary or an hourly wage. They put the thing together, and then you mass produce it and sell it to make a lot of money. That's how artificial intelligence or the simulation works, between what your mind can come up with and then how you produce what that is. Well, that's the same way that they do it in a lab. They have all their beakers, and they have all their Bunsen burners, and they have the periodic table at their disposal, right? And they say, okay, in order to produce an effect, which is an experience, which represents algorithms, frequencies, they do that in food, whether it's cheese, whether it's anything that they produce. Okay? What happens is the elements, the chemical messengers, goes into our memory. Okay? So, for example, when you eat something that comes from her, like an avocado, you're getting something that is grounded to the earth. Okay? It comes up through all the minerals and the living water, because the orange tree is a living being. Okay? So it's producing living energies. So you're consuming living energies. Okay? When they artificially produce something in a lab, it's not living energy. Okay? So it gets logged into memory, so that when you go into a big box store, oh, there's that package, I remember that taste. The chemical messengers remember the pleasure of that taste. Hooked on the messenger. The messenger is in memory. Much the same way that Patty described, for example, where I believe the guy's name was Parker, who worked for the Ford Motor Company, and I believe it was 1864. She showed us a picture of an automobile that ran on water. And then once the water ran out, It remembered the hydrogen atom, and it ran on hydrogen. It ran on memory. Okay? Now we begin to understand memory. So this is why, because I just caught myself, for example, when I'm in nature, I don't eat the same way that I do when I come into civilization, into a city. Because all of a sudden the memory kicks in of certain things that you walk by on a shelf. Whoa, I remember that. That tasted good. I want that. Pleasure. The pleasure of the taste. The taste was artificially produced, induced into the memory. I buy it. I spend money to do that. Okay? Same thing with all the fast food restaurants. Same thing with most everything that they produce. So that means that you operate on the unconscious memory of something that they induce through artificial intelligence, which is binary. Because everything in nature is trinary. Okay? So this is why I was recommending or simply suggesting the exercises and beginning to realize that when you're operating on your memory all the time, based on programming through artificial intelligence that is produced by all these corporations, because that's what they are, they're parasites. Because remember, how do they make money? It's in their own bylaws. They are required to make a profit. They don't give anything back. They take from the planet, they produce as much as they possibly can. They have no interest in making anything that is for your benefit, that has, for example, can we make a spaceship or a living ship, or can we produce a vehicle that can last a lifetime? Of course. When somebody is in love and service to others, who wants to create something that is for the benefit of everybody, which means it's not service to self. This is love and service to others. That's how we attract more light. That's how we go faster. That's how we keep the battery full, right? And that's how we're able to maintain a state of love and joy. So when we choose to interface with something that is a parasite, what do you think happens? Our battery gets drained. That's how it works. That's why Karen Ann Luke MacDonald filed those papers in the international court. And from those papers, an arrest warrant was put out for the Queen of England. And she fled to the Denver Dome. I don't know what the latest status is on the Queen, but my understanding is that she cut a deal with Trump. And she decided that it's over, so there's no use in running. See, this is one of the benefits when you know that you got an enormous amount of light. When you know that the light created the cosmos, which is what love is. You cannot escape. The light knows everything that they do. The light knows everything that we all do. You can't hide from the light. I remember Patty mentioned this one time, that they can reintroduce every single species that has existed in the Milky Way galaxy and reintroduce it. Keeping everything on a record. So that's why these are classroom records. That's why this is a classroom. And there's a record of every student that's here. And so what gets measured is how fast we learned to become a lighthouse. Right? Who we're choosing to interface with. The girl on the planet or corporate parasites. So, thought I'd share that because I just caught myself on that, and I thought, that's interesting information, because if people can sort of look at themselves and see how that works, they can look at their memory and go, yeah, you're right. I was programmed to do that. Why am I doing that? Take a look at all the chemicals that are in a lot of these labels. There's a reason why we demanded that they put their ingredients on the labels, so that people might want to take the time to do the chemistry analysis on it and find out whether this stuff is good or not. Remember? Input, output, metadata, metabolites. Remember, electrolytes? So you're kicking out metadata through the light. Right. Programming. She's not trying to program you. They do. So you got to know who you have an interface with. The girl on the planet, or corporate parasites, which are known as corporate pirates. That's who's going down. So you knew they were going to throw everything at us, right? Except that they already lost. But what else does a parasite know how to do? You know, a psychopathic liar doesn't know how to do anything else except for lie, try and lie its way out of everything. So they're scrambling right now like crazy, trying to figure out some strategy. Remember we talked about war games? They already lost. See? That means we already know the future before they do. That's why it's, remember, enjoy the ride home, grab your popcorn, right? But it is important to do the inner work. It really is. Because we got to get the energy up, get the frequencies up, dissolve the things that don't serve us, right? Yeah. Have a great day. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.